So this is a public meeting of the Berlin Conservation Commission occurring via Zoom webinar on February 17th, 2021, starting roughly at 7:05 p.m. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other participants may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Confirming member access. This is John Aney, Chair of the Berlin Conservation Commission. I will now confirm all members present. Say your name, say here or I. Carolyn McDonald.
Aye.
Walter Bickford.
Aye.
Liz DiChiara.
Here.
Steve Beard.
Erie.
Louise Janda.
Aye.
Robin Berry.
Here.
And Holly Kennedy DeBudula.
Here.
Hi, Holly. All right. So we have there's no anticipated speakers on the agenda. So with the quorum of the commission present, I call this meeting to order at 7:05-ish p.m. on Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. Introduction. This is an open meeting. The Conservation Commission is being recorded remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information in the guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Berlin website at www.townofberlin.com. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, provided reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. While no in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. The standard public comment portion of this meeting will accommodate limited public comment. This meeting, the Conservation Commission is continuing using the Zoom platform as posted on the agenda. Identifying how the public may join. Public's encouraged to follow along with the posted agenda, which I've updated. And supporting materials that are available may be made, that are discussed during this meeting may be made available by public request. Commission members and speakers on the agenda, please remember to request recognition before speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. With respect to public comment, to the extent that our technical capability allows, public comment will be permitted during the public comment portion of the meeting as follows. Attendees' phones and other devices will be muted unless and until they raise their hand and are recognized by me to speak. I ask each member of the public who wishes to speak to identify their name, and I will afford each speaker time to ask a question and make a brief comment. Finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Boom. All right. On to the minutes. I'll be so happy when I don't have to read that anymore, that silly thing. All right, let me screen share the minutes.
You're getting good at it though.
It's a skill that I don't really want to master. So these are the minutes from February 3rd, meeting opened at 7:05. I said the usual attendees were John, Walter, Steve, Liz, Louise, Robin, Barry, and Carolyn. Other attendees, Peg Stone, the select board, Brian Waterman, representing Riverbridge, Alex Para, Homes of Highland Ridge, Heather and Christopher Davies, and 104 Crosby Road. Number one, review and approve minutes of previous meeting. Minutes of January 2021 were reviewed and edited. Liz moved to approve the minutes with one edit. Steve seconded the motion, which passed by roll call vote with the following results. Everybody said aye. Treasurer's report. The funds annual budget was $854.49. Wetlands fund $11,430.97, and open space fund $186,695.32. Budget reconciliation. Robin reports she is continuing to work with June Pollard to reconcile the budget report. The annual budget is a few dollars off. No bills or forms were submitted. Mails and notices for vernal pool certification. Concom finally received notification from the state that the vernal pool on Surrey Hill Road had been certified. Update on Solomon Pond Mall check. The town sent a certified letter to Solomon Pond Mall LLC requesting that the mitigation check to the open fund space be received by February 28th. Sorry, just make a note. 3 National Grid meeting was postponed. 23 Clean Energy Climate thing was on February 7th. Snowmobiles of 40Ks. Dan Simpson of Sudbury Valley Trustees emailed to report on snowmobile tracks going to the 40Ks conservation land from Lancaster Road. Walter said he would post signs stating no motorized vehicles are allowed at the site. Wetlands, Highland Ridge, DP 1070241. The site continues to be stable. 100 River Road West. No progress has been made on resolving the wetlands violation issue. The property is out for sale. The new owners would be responsible for fixing the violation. John will contact Dave Burke to investigate what is being done. 64 Banner Road, an enforcement order was mailed to the owner of the property. 32 Allen Road, the owner is willing to fix the violation, but the weather is prohibiting any removal of the brush from the wetlands. The Concom will recommend that work be done before the spring thaw to prevent damage to the wetlands. Appointment 7:30. Homes at Highland Ridge, 1070241. Alex Parra, the attorney representing the homes at Highland Ridge, presented the newest draft of the conservation restriction on part of the homes at Highland Ridge development. He reported there's been a delay in locating the existing trails, which say that part of the draft will be finalized in a couple of weeks. He relayed to the developer was not in favor of an upfront payment for conservation monitoring as proposed by the SVT plan. Mr. Parra said that the developer feels that conservation monitoring should be paid annually by the homeowners association. The Conservation Commission members generally disagreed that the CM should be funded later by the homeowners association, since there's no guarantee that the CM would be funded indefinitely. Concom members agreed the monitoring agreement needs to be in place now to guarantee conditions of the CR would be met in the future. It was pointed out that the sum requested by the SVT is small when averaged over the number of units to be constructed. Mr. Parra will go back to the developer without response. 8 o'clock, COC request for Ridge Phase 2B, DEP 1070229. Brian Waterman of WB Designs described the photos he had emailed to the Concom and were screen shared so the Concom members could see the work that had been completed. Photos show that the site appears to be stable. The last OOC extension was granted February 6, 2019, and is due to expire on March 18, 2021. The Concom debated over whether the COC will be issued based solely on the photos presented, since the site is now covered with snow. It was decided to delay the decision until March 3rd, 7:30. Site visit may be possible by then, or maybe not. 8:30 p.m. OOC Extension 104 Crosby Road, DP 1070224. Heather and Chris Davis, owners of 104 Crosby Road, came to the Concom to request an extension of the OOC issued February 7th, 2018, which will expire February 8th, 2021. They stated they needed an extension since they have not received the as-built plans, even though all the work has been finished. The Concom determined that no extension was needed since all construction is complete. The Davises were advised if they were to do any more construction on the site, they would have to file a notice of intent before any new work could be done. New business, property near Wheeler Road. Carolyn reported that there is interest in the property near Wheeler Road Pond, identified as parcel 30 on Assessor's Map 2, and as 203 Crosby Road, with the frontage on the site on Crosby Road. It was noted that a dynamite storage facility is in the area, which is hilarious. Old business, Wetland Bylaw. John and Carolyn met with Mike Sawyer, Peter Hoffman, and Paul McCulk to review the proposed Wetland Bylaw and get their input. The change in the appeal process was discussed. John reported the research he has done on the appeal process concerned. The Concom members discussed changing the appeal process section of the bylaw, and John stated that he would modify the section to include a mediation option. This Concom also discussed changing the abutter notification distance to 100 feet. Rail trail planning. Robin reported on a meeting with the select board concerning the purchase of the abandoned railbed property at Berlin, which lies west of Coleman Road. The Concom will make no recommendation on a rail trail purchase at this time. 3, conservation agent. John reported that he has discussed the issue with town administrator Margaret Nardowitz. The Concom feels an agent is warranted based on the amount of work that needs to be done on a weekly basis. No discussions with land acquisition, land management, or community outreach. Steve moved to adjourn the meeting. Liz seconded the motion, which passed by a unanimous roll call vote. Meeting ended at 9:05 p.m. Minutes by Louise and John. Any thoughts, concerns, edits?
Looks good to me. I would make a
Okay.
motion to
Okay.
pass without much editing at all.
second, third, and fourth.
Okay, here we go. Roll call vote. John, aye. Robin,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Liz,
Aye.
Louise, you're muted. You're still muted, Louise.
Hello, Louise.
It's on the lower left of the screen.
Okay, aye.
Thank you, Louise. Where was I? Steve
Aye.
and Walter. Aye. Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, I'll post those. I just want to take a minute to check in with Holly. Holly, how are you doing? You know, I had shared that your mother had passed away from COVID-19.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing okay. It was kind of a shock because we thought she was gonna get, she was beating it, and then she just took a turn for the worse. But I got to be there with her, so that was good. But yeah, it was
Oh, that's good.
not good, right? I don't know. Shock.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, Holly.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so sorry.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like it happens, like they say. You think you're good, and then boom.
Yeah.
Was she in the hospital?
She was released from the hospital, and then 3 days later, she was admitted. I got a phone call that it was a Sunday morning, and I got a call saying that they ventilated her, and that I'm her health proxy, and what do they do next? And I said, well, I would have said, don't ventilate her, but it happened. And then, yeah, she was around for a week and a half before she passed.
Wow.
But
That's
it was
a long time.
Yeah, it was just really tough because the doctors kept insisting that she was going to beat this, and I said, I don't know. It just, it was painful to see her on the ventilator, you know, knowing that was just tough. So,
Yeah, that's a
and
long
finally
time
they
ago.
said they thought she was going to be okay, so they said we're going to take her off of it, and I said, okay, that's great because I think that's what we should do. She didn't want to she didn't want to have that done, but anyway, but then it was like a few days, and then she passed after she was off the ventilator.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm very sorry, Holly.
No, thank you.
Very sorry. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you can join us tonight, Holly. Okay. Well, moving on to the agenda. Treasurer's report. We don't have to go over the numbers today, but Robin, did you get a chance to work out with June the just $8.06 discrepancy?
So I've asked for a ledger in the past, and she just kind of gives me a summary kind of thing. Again, I haven't been able to get like a detailed thing. So it ended up only being like $3. So I think it's like probably what you said is just the taxes. So I just kind of put in a line item in my spreadsheet to offset it by,
Okay.
$3 or whatever.
All right, so I can sign those things and turn them in.
I would. I mean, I think that's what accounts for it. Cause there was one, like I looked at your spreadsheet and there was like one item where like, it was like a $7 difference, which I think might've been, you had mentioned the sales tax. Like I think either it had gotten paid as less and you had more in your, something like that. So I think you're right that it's probably just the sales tax thing.
Yeah, no, when I was going over my own taxes, I came across a couple of the receipts I got from the reimbursement receipt checks from the town. And I compared them with what I had requested. And yes, she didn't pay for sale tax, which she's not supposed to.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't add up to $8.06. It was a little confusing. I don't know. But
Yeah, that's the thing. I might have had the $8 off the last. The other trouble too is that there's some postage that Liz paid for that I don't think came out of the budget. I think it came out of that general fund one that is still unclear how that works. But she says that's not a new thing. So I don't
it's
quite.
the first I've heard of it.
Well, that's the thing. There was one charge on it from last spring that kind of popped up like right after I took it over from Carol. And so I thought it was a new thing, and then there's been like a couple of credits and debits there. And she basically, What was that, Carol?
What general fund?
So she's,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a place where, so like if we get a check from somebody for, I don't know, like one of the applications that's going to go back out to, say, the state, I guess, you know, like it's not money that's staying there generally, but that's what I don't understand is that like right now there's money staying there. It's only like $150 or something, but she said it's not a new thing.
Huh,
That-
So-
It's the first I'd heard of it.
right, first I've heard of it too.
Yeah. So I don't know. She just said we'd work together and
Figure it out.
figure it out. So I'm just, and when there's another charge, I'll ask her again.
Right.
So
If, with respect to sales tax issues, there's 2 comments. So there's a form you can get or fill out. So if you go to Lowe's, you can avoid paying the sales tax.
yeah.
Also, it turns out for general supplies, June can order them for us, or she can teach me how to order them for us. And therefore, there's some town account that then she would apply to conservation. You know,
Okay.
things
Yeah, it's like a town Amazon account, isn't it?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, whatever. It's not a lot of money. So next up, mail and notices. First up is Tolman property. So I received an email from Dennis Farabee. Oh, well, he sent it out to multiple people, and that little piece of property, the gold greenhouse area, the piece of property on the west side of the road where we thought, oh, that'd be a great place for a parking lot.
West or north?
North, sorry,
Okay.
my apologies. No, you're right. It's
Picky.
I was picturing myself running.
Uh,
Anyway, so it's just what I'm anyway. So on the north side, that was purchased by the guy at Mass Stone and Gravel. So
Huh.
he was willing to pay off the back taxes and buy it as a buffer for some reason. I don't know why. And so that land's been sold, which is
Well, I
kind of
think, if I may,
yeah.
you know, he probably, my guess is it would prevent parking there, but the town was really silly not to at least take that piece of land. Everybody's worrying about it and hazardous waste on the other side of the street, but I think they could have taken that piece separately. I don't know. And I blame myself because I didn't push it enough. I was aware of it, never thought anybody would buy it. And unfortunately, we don't have it. It would be a great access to the railroad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it came as a surprise. I didn't even know anybody was even interested until it was sold. Yeah.
In fact, I think we should get the other side of the road too, but I see they're moving stuff there too, so I don't know what's going on there.
The other side of the road has a for sale sign, but that one is more, that one's going to require some cleanup and environmental cleanup in the range to the tune of $50,000 to $100,000.
Somebody is working there now.
Oh, really?
Haul some stuff out. I see maybe they're just salvaging the metal or something, but they're taking down the greenhouses and I see them stacking up the pipes and stuff. Yep.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I actually haven't been on that strip of road for a little bit, so. Okay, next up, just for your enlightenment, the MACC annual meeting is March 6th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Turns out they need 30 municipalities to participate. And they're actually giving away prizes to, like a raffle, so if anybody wants to sign up on behalf of Berlin, you might get a $100 gift card or something like that.
I assume it's virtual.
Yes, yeah.
And when is it?
March 6th, 9 to 10. I'll email everybody the link. I might attend if I remember, but it's the weekend, so God only knows what I'll be doing. All right. Next up was the Volunteer Handbook, which I sent everybody, and there'll be a test on at the end of the meeting. I did scan it. It's useful. I mean, it goes over, and finally all the rules are in like one document. I didn't really learn anything all that different. but you know, it's a good reference. I would say, you know, it's like a reference thing. So there's that. Oh, next up is Great Oak Farm, and let me screen share some stuff. So these are a series of emails, originally not part, there weren't, I was included only in or the Conservation Commission was included only in the later part. So Steen Benson passed away in October.
The son?
No, Steve.
The father.
Oh, Steen was the father, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says that Carla is still in the house. But so this is between Torsten, who's
Who's the son?
is
Yeah.
the son, and originally into Ashley, and then Ashley forwarded it on to SVT because they wanted to put an addition for the horse barn manager. And they're wondering whether the building envelope would allow this. So there's Ashley's response towards Torsten, and then Kristen O'Brien gets involved. And you know, they're sort of fussing about whether they could do it or not. And when did they get us involved? Oh, here we go. So early planning stages of this. My preliminary response to her was that it's just like, it probably, you know, it's really more of a conservation rules and permit and code issue rather than a conservation issue. Like for instance, you know, I don't know what the rules are for putting apartments in barns, you know, because you're going to have plumbing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I'm just I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or opinions. I don't think it makes much difference.
Well,
It seems
if it's in one of the buildings and immediately surrounding it, they're all in their own envelope, not included in the CR. So it's up to them to deal with the Board of Health and Building Department. It's not our concern, as long as they don't try and put a leach field on the CR land or something like that. You know?
Right. That was what my thinking as well. So.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. All right. I won't modify my initial thing then. The Solomon Pond Mall check. So the only update I have for that is a signed receipt for the certified mail was sent to us. So they got the demand for the money by the end of the month.
Oh, we did receive the money?
No.
No.
They know that our demand is the end of the month,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
but we have not yet received the money.
That's what I
Okay.
thought. Yep.
Next up, under wetlands, there's no news on Highland Ridge because it's snowing. Next up on 100 River Road West, I do have a minor update there. I'm just going to summarize this. So these are a couple of emails between Dave Burke and Dave Lapointe. And so Dave Lapointe, who works for Beals and Thomas, which is an environmental firm, she had some email correspondence with Anna, who's the woman that works with the owner, who is bilingual. She'd sent a signed proposal. It made it sound like she was sending a retainer check soon, but David Lapointe has yet to receive the check. He had followed up with her, didn't get a response. So he basically said, without the check in hand, we are not proceeding even with a signed proposal. So that's the update. So they're
dragging their feet again.
Yeah.
It's not going to change.
Maybe not. And where was I? Where'd everybody go? There we go. But that's the update I have for you. I mean, it is slow. There is progress. It's just not where we want it to be.
Right, they're
64
not
Banner
completely blowing us off. They're just
dragging their feet.
dragging their feet.
Playing with us.
Yeah.
64 Banner Road, no update. 32 Allen Road, no update. Again, snow. Appointments. The only appointment we had today was Alex Pera, attorney for homes at Highland Ridge. So let me just pull up that email. Hi, John. I've solicited a number of conservation organizations, including New England Forestry, Greater Worcester Land Trust, and North County Land Trust, without success for various reasons. Therefore, the client has agreed to pay the SCT fee prior to the first occupancy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they will.
Hey, we won one.
Yep.
Good Lord.
I am still awaiting the updated plan with the trail, so I don't think there's anything to discuss tonight. Let me know if there's anything else. So I just sort of booked him for on the March 3rd meeting.
Well, I think once we pointed out the math per unit.
Yeah, it seemed silly after that.
They knew how we were looking at it.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna give in on that one.
Yeah. That's the
Carolyn,
thing when you
thank
break
you.
it down, it was, yeah.
Well,
Good job, Carolyn.
Good job, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Having a calculator on the computer worked out for us.
Then why can't you find the $7 that we're missing?
Yeah, right.
So that's good news. All right, next up, wetland bylaw. And I do really need to apologize because I did send it to Mary today. I kind of wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do the process correctly of the warrant, so you have to do the summary and this and attachments. And I just wanted to make sure that the trail was smooth because the deadline is very soon and my next 2 days of work are really busy. So I figured that no matter what happened, we could just redo it. But so that's why I sent it out before the meeting.
Is the deadline next Monday?
Monday,
21st, isn't it?
22nd.
22nd.
Okay.
So, and I didn't want to simply do it over the weekend and then screw something up. I was partly just want to make sure that the skids were greased. And because I did not, under any circumstances, want to miss the deadline.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had sent out a few days back. Was it the weekend? All days.
Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, there were a couple emails on it.
I don't even remember.
It
Today's
must have been
Wednesday,
Monday.
so.
Yeah. So I did a little more research about the appeals thing, and I found 2 other towns besides Wilbraham. One of the towns, I don't even remember which town it was anymore, because it was literally a 2 or 3 page appeal process. It was just too painful. But then Falmouth had a nice little thing, which had been more recently updated. So I kind of stitched together a bunch of stuff, and just to come up with an appeal option. I also got permission to speak with one of our lawyers to make sure that that section goes good. And Margaret gave me approval yesterday, but the lawyer's tied up in court today, so I didn't get a chance to talk to Amy before tonight's meeting, unfortunately.
So who does the appeal process?
Let me
Okay.
pull this up. Loading. There we go. Let me take away. I can add the markup back. Let me just screen share. There we go. So as we discussed last meeting, so this is essentially the same with 2 changes. The first has to do with just that we went back to 100 feet just to make life a little more simple for the abutters. Can't even remember where that is exactly. Right. So anyway, it's notice of hearings. That's right.
100 feet. Yep.
Yeah. So we went back to 100 feet. Now the other part is section 11. Now for the appeals. Now most of this is almost every municipal wetland bylaw that I have read. This is all that's there. Boom, done. But then I guess that should be superior. Whatever. So, and that's what people were nervous about. So this is what I stitched together based on the stuff I had read. This part here. If you want to just read it for a second.
I think you want to say environmental professional instead of profession. 4 lines down.
I think you did a great job on that.
Thank you.
It gives time limits, it gives options.
Yep.
It also then so it's mediation, but it's not binding. So Superior Court is still an option if mediation isn't successful for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So if one backs out, we still split the cost?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea, and it's, I'll go along with it.
Yeah.
Do we want to specify that the mediation needs to be prepaid? You know, like in some sort of like escrow type thing, just to make sure that it gets covered?
Good idea.
Does that need to be here, or is that in the regulations?
That I don't know.
Yeah, we could. I don't know. I mean, I could put it in here. We could put it in later under regulations. I mean, I don't want to make the paragraph too confusing.
No, but I do think it'd be good for us to get that money into like an escrow account just to make sure that we don't get stuck with a full bill.
Well,
Like an estimated cost to be held in escrow.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like a retainer, I guess.
I can't see the professional doing anything unless he gives a.
Sure, get some money up front.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, let's leave that up to the professionals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The Superior Court is capital here, so
Yeah, it should be a superior. Where did I do that before?
I think it was
up at the top.
Up, right here. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't see my cursor.
and I saw
I love
a
it when people
couple
do that.
super minor typos. John, if
Where
you go
were-
all the way up to the top.
Okay, well, before we go up,
Yeah,
any other thoughts about this thing?
I moved that we include it.
seems good.
Second.
Third.
Okay, great. Let me vote when I can see everybody's face and stuff. So I go to the top to check where were the spelling errors?
Down. Stop. Oh, back up.
Back down.
Little. Up. Stop. See, collectively, the resource area protected by this bylaw, period.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty
Tiny.
subtle.
Yeah, and then if you look at the headings, your Roman numerals, you got one, I think
Yes,
somewhere
sorry.
around 8, you it messes it up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.
Oh,
Yes. Oh, terrible.
And then keep going though.
well, now they all have to
So-
change.
I
No,
don't
that's
know.
one. That one's good. It was
9 is good. Yeah, and I think 10
8.
and 11.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right.
Good.
There was 9 all right, because you refer to 9 way back up in the section 2 or someplace.
Yeah, enforcement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so, but should it be 9 or should it be 10? Was
No,
it,
this was literally, I just forgot to put in a strike there.
okay, just
Yeah.
making sure that it
Yeah, that's what I was
refers
worried
to
about.
the
but-
appropriate.
All right, well, that's cool. All right, so let me just stop sharing. So,
Okay. And
Walter-
I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it just for the record. That corrected version with the additional language about mediation is the version that was turned into the town.
yeah, without this, with the spelling mistakes, yeah.
Right. Well, I'm sure
So-
the spelling mistakes will be handled.
What I'll do is I'll email, when we're done, I'll email back this corrected version. So there's a motion on the table, which, Walter, could you also include the changing to the 100-foot butter notice rather than 2?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So the motion is to accept this amended bylaw for,
no, wait a minute. So we're gonna vote on it as it is? I had a
the way
couple
we just, yeah, the way I just changed with it, so
I have
there's
a couple
the,
of questions.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, the vernal pools, we're protecting that I mean, that's at a minimum. And then the isolated wetlands, they should be protected also. Why did we strike that from the 2016 bylaw? That's there's a big area. You just go up to Boundless Adventures, for example, there's a ½ acre or more wetland with cattails growing in it that's isolated. That could just be filled in up there, and it probably will be eventually, but nevertheless, that should be protected. Things like that should be protected. Frankly, I don't know of too many around town, but that we should protect those.
Well, that would be protected. That's not an isolated land subject to flooding. I mean, if it's got cattails in it and everything, that's a wetland. So that
right.
would be protected. The
Yeah,
isolated
I
lands
just-
subject to flooding are basically collections of water that dry up, that where neither the soil nor the plants meet criteria for it to be a wetland.
Right.
And
Right.
it also does not meet the criteria for vernal pools.
Does the because isolated wetlands are not protected in the general law. So are we protecting that specifically?
Well, no, again, I think there's two different concepts here. Isolated wetlands are still protected because they're wetlands. All wetlands are protected. Isolated lands subject to flooding are by definition not wetlands.
Okay, in the bylaw where it talks about wetlands being protected, we found when we protected vernal pools, we managed to put in even those that aren't registered, something like isolated wetlands. I think I don't know, John, I think I disagree with you. We knew that was an isolated wetland up there. And Dave Burke looked at that, as a matter of fact, and Pat Garner, and it could be filled in as we stand here now. And I think it's important. Where does it say in the bylaw that isolated, we say wetlands are protected, and maybe parentheses, including those not attached or connected to surface waters, other wetlands.
Carolyn, you had a comment?
Walter, are you isolated wetlands or isolated land subject to flooding that are more than a puddle?
Yeah, of course.
No, I mean,
It's a question.
which, it's a question. Because if it's, what we were trying to get away from was the accusation that we were trying to protect puddles. And so we were trying to be very careful about how we worded it to legitimately protect vernal pools and potential vernal pools, which is my understanding, if it is isolated land subject to flooding that is not a wetland that also meets criteria for vernal pools, it is protected. If it doesn't meet criteria for vernal pools, it's not really a resource and therefore it's not protected.
Can I speak on that? Because we had right across from the spooky world, that field.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep. We got turned down. Actually, that was the Army Corps of Engineers came in and said,
Yep.
no.
And if you remember, we said it didn't matter.
Right. And they said it
We
did.
said, we sent it to the state saying, yeah, it's fine to fill that little depression in. And the state said no.
Right.
But that also may be qualified as a wet meadow. I want to be careful here because there's a, the isolated land subject to flooding is a very specific definition. And if something is a wetlands based on either soil hydrology or plants, wetland plants, then it's by definition not an isolated land subject to flooding. It's a wetland.
Right.
And
therefore is protected.
And therefore is protected. It was protected by the Wetlands Protection Act. It's actually not even by this document. But so it's really an isolated land subject to flooding is a very specific definition where some water collects, but either based on the composition of the soils or the plant matter there, by neither of those criteria is it a wetland. So it isn't by definition an isolated land subject to flooding is not a wetland.
Okay, I wish that we had either Burke or Pat in on this conversation. I'm just telling you this. Up at Boundless Adventures, it's at least a half acre, and it's a wetland. It had wetland plants in it.
So it's protected.
Excuse me, but it was not connected to anything else. It was isolated, and there was no way that when the people were talking about what it's worth and everything else, the result was both from Burke and Pat is that can be filled in.
I can't comment on that because I don't have any knowledge of that interaction.
I do.
Well, I know. I'm just saying I can't comment. What I can say is we're out of time. If we want to get this on the warrant, we don't have. I don't think we. I think you're just going to have to. I mean, I've been reading this stuff for months now.
So why, John? Years.
So and if before Monday, you can get Pat to weigh an opinion, we can take a look at it. But that, the other thing to keep in mind is that, like Carolyn was saying, I mean, one of the things is also to make sure we have a bylaw that will be passed, with support of people that are usually opposed to such things. That was one of the specific reasons for, that phrase about isolated land subject.
What is the harm in putting in the phrase wetlands, including those not connected to surface waters or connected to riverine systems, just isolated? What's the harm in putting that in there, number one?
Well, I don't want to confuse what the word isolated means. Again, for the purposes of making sure this passes. And I don't know if there is a harm, but like I said, I think it's already by definition protected. If it's a wetland, it's protected. If it doesn't meet criteria for a wetland, then it isn't protected.
All right. Not a big deal. I don't think there's many of them in town. All right. The other thing that bothered me is this is ridiculous. The 2016 bylaw, the no touch was 35 feet, which is really inadequate. I can paste that off across my kitchen and halfway in the living room, and that's a protective zone. It's ridiculous. You look at this towns like Acton has a 100-foot no touch, Concord 50 foot, Lincoln 50 feet, VP's Harvard, Vernal Pools 100 feet, Wetlands 50 feet. Bolton has a 35-foot no touch. And, you know, we've knocked it down to 25. I mean, it's silly. And incidentally, you touch on another thing that deserves comment also, this business, you want to get something passed. Do you want to get something passed or do you want to protect the environment? I mean, who did you talk to? I know who you talked to. Did you talk to Rhodes too? How about Goddard? I talked to Evie Dewar, talked to Dave Westerland. Liz could talk to her neighbors up on the hill. This bylaw, if you want to pass it, instead of weakening it so darn much that developers are going to come in and root for it, we should decide that we're going to put some work into getting this thing passed. Get on the phone, knock on doors, get articles in the paper, use Facebook. I mean, it doesn't, that's what happened before. Somebody says, well, it didn't pass before. It didn't pass before because there was not a legitimate campaign working on this. Those that, you know, don't want to stiffen this up, I mean, you basically make up your mind and say, well, I don't want to put any effort into it. We've got to have a good bylaw and get it passed. And this business about, oh, let's get our foot in the door, that's exactly what they're going to slap you in the face with. When you do that and come back again, and see, they were lying to us. Now they want to change it more. Walk in the door with something reasonable. It should be a 35-foot no touch zone. I would make it 40. The 100 additional protection, all rivers. Did we redefine rivers so that we can't have that trick pulled on us that was pulled before, number one? And the other thing that caught my eye is bylaw protect cutways, no touch policy, in fact, enforceable. There was another thing relative to that. I'll see it though. But anyway, the intermittent streams. Yeah, what are we doing to protect those?
There's a section there to protect those.
What is the distance, John? That's what I'm asking you specifically.
100 feet.
100 feet buffer.
Yeah. Well,
Is there a no
jurisdiction. 100-foot jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction. Is there a no touch zone on it? Other towns have no touch zones up to 40 feet on intermittent streams. Other towns treat intermittent and the rivers the same.
Okay, it would be 25 feet.
It'd be a 25-foot no disturb on intermittent streams.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that, but that's good. So the definition of rivers in that is everything that's on the USGS maps, and that's the way we're going to go. And that would have solved our problem 4 years ago if we had done that. All right, I think you're wrong on your isolated wetlands. It isn't a big deal. The no touch zones are the important thing. That will protect more land and more wildlife habitat than anything else. And this 25-foot is just a pittance. I mean, we should consider, I mean, it really is. I don't see any true commitment to protecting our streams and rivers with this 25-foot. It's very discouraging. And I would move that we move it up. If you put it in there, by the way, you can always at town meeting decrease something. You can't increase it. But I would move that we put in 35 and act like we care about the wetlands.
So that's a motion to increase the distance to 35?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Wonderful.
Well, is there any discussion?
There would be discussion after the second.
I'll second it to discuss it.
All right, I'll discuss it. Again, Walter, first of all, two things. It's been 25 feet for a while. That has been something that everybody accepts. It's an adequate distance. There's plenty of other towns that also have 25 feet. Number two, we've been working on this since September. the warrant article is due Monday. You know, we've been campaigning, speaking with people about this, you know, talking about the 25-foot touchstone, which everybody's comfortable with. And now you want to all of a sudden switch it to 35, 40, 50, 60 feet. It's just, you know, you should have thought about that months ago, frankly. Okay, it's 25 foot is adequate. It's acceptable. It reflects the policy of the Conservation Commission, which has been in place for well over a decade. And, you know, it strengthens the Wetlands Protection Act. So I would say that we should just leave it the way it is.
Well, okay, go ahead and I'll respond to that.
Oh, can I say something?
Please, Louise.
Okay. I totally agree with Walter that it should be 35 feet. However, I agree with John saying that we've been talking about this in September. People have been going out talking to other people and, you know, and all of a sudden we're going to change something. I don't think it would come across as acting in good faith. So as much as I want it to be 35, I think it's too late to do that, to make the change.
Well, let me just comment, Louise, on that. First of all, going out talking to other people I have, and they really think that we should do this. All I've heard that a couple of the members have talked to my good friend Michael and Paul. That's two people. I don't know if they've gone around talking to anybody else. Like I say, I wonder if they talked to Rhodes and Goddard too. I've talked to other people, environmentalists, and they think that we really kind of beat this up, and I think there's a lot of support for it. As far as this business of I'm too late, I mean, I'll admit, I kind of sat back. I said, I'm just going to take a break and let it go. In the last meeting, I think it was, or the meeting before, it's, oh, we sat with these people and it's 25 feet. Yep, bang, bang. And I thought, well, but it eats away at me. And the business of last minute baloney, I don't care if it's the last second. If the people sitting here care about the brooks and streams enough to make it a 35 foot, you vote for it. It's as simple as that. But then be ready to go out and campaign for it. Louise, you know what campaigning is. You remember the old days. You win by campaigning and working on it. The right thing to do is
it doesn't always work. Okay, the first time, you know, we lost twice and we campaigned. The last time, you're right, we were not prepared.
That's right.
And we were bushwhacked too. But the time before that, when it did not pass, we were prepared. We had a good presentation, but we lost. So,
I mean, if you compare this to what other towns have done, and even the ones that hardly did anything, I mean, we're at the bottom of the pile as far as being committed to and really having some strict protection.
I completely disagree with that statement. I absolutely full-heartedly disagree with that statement.
Well, I don't.
I agree with John.
Towns that think about it, you look at the Harvards and the Carlisles and the Boltons and some of our other neighbors and Andover, towns that go out there and they pass bylaws, good bylaws. Pat Garner thought we should have 100-foot no disturb zone around these things. He recommended a lot of that stuff. He was chairman of MACC for years. So, I mean, listen, I don't care if you're against it, just vote against it. But I won't vote for this the way it is.
Carolyn?
Walter, I would love for this to be a stronger, more beefed up bylaw. But the reality is we tried that twice and failed. It was painful. The other thing is by continuing to put forward the same document that has failed twice, and by not listening to the people that are voting, we're losing credibility. We're losing credibility and we're losing trustworthiness of the people that are willing to work with us, we have to be willing to work with them. This is in a good, successful compromise, no one is happy. And I completely agree with John that, and I know you don't agree with this, but I completely agree that having something is better than nothing. The fact that we do care about the environment of the town is why we're doing this to begin with. And if we find in the future that we do need to go back to the town and strengthen certain parts of this,
Yeah, we can.
I firmly believe that by showing goodwill in compromising to begin with, that we will be in better standing to ask for more should we need to. And
Oh,
I know you don't agree with that, but I am personally not willing to go back to the town meeting with something that hasn't been supported twice in the past and try and shove it down the throat of the town one more time, especially at this town meeting. We don't even know what this town meeting is going to look like. We don't know, because of COVID, we have no idea what's going on, what's going to happen. And I'm just not willing to support that. This document is reasonable. We have already more support from certain people than we've ever had in the past, and I'm not willing to change it.
Clarification, who are the people that you've talked to that are supporting it that did in the past, Carol?
Very specifically, Mike.
Yeah.
And Paul. And we also talked to Peter Hoffman. I believe he's supportive. And that's who we've talked to specifically, because we didn't have a final document. It doesn't mean that the campaign hasn't started, or it won't start, because it will now that we have a final document. But we promised people from other boards that we would get in touch with them and talk to them. We've also talked to the planning board. We've talked to Tim Wheeler.
I've got an appointment with the zoning board.
Yep. We promised that we would talk to other people before we finalized our document. And those people that asked us to do that, we have talked to. We haven't finished talking to people. We haven't really even started, other than the people who asked to be present before the document was finalized. And that is what we've done.
Carolyn, that's 2 or 3 people you mentioned specifically. I talked to Michael at coffee and I told him I was going to push for a larger no touch zone because it's ludicrous. And he kind of jumbled around, but he didn't have anything to say about it. I don't care who you and John talked to. You didn't speak for me. I speak for myself. So you
absolutely
talked to him and said you were going to bring it back to us. We don't have to go along with that. If this is beefed up, I'm fully prepared to pull out all stops and put on a campaign on this thing and make it happen. With this, you know, this is nothing. You made a couple other points that I just didn't see as, we're not shoving it down anybody's throat. We're laying it out there honestly and waking people up to do it. You can't go and tell somebody vote for this. You talk to the average person that is awake about it, this, and they can say, oh, that's great, let's do it. We need to do everything we possibly can. I mean, we're under siege right now.
I agree with you.
And we've got to deal with it. This, you know, mucking around, it just doesn't make sense. You either do it or you don't do it. As far as compromise, Carolyn, we could double everything in here and it's still a compromise from what really should be. I mean, this is all a compromise. It's ridiculous. It should be more. But anyway,
I started my statement by saying that I would love to see it be more, but I also want something in place that this gives us tools that we do not have currently. And if this is able to pass in its current form, and we will get those tools, that if we put forth something that again was voted down twice personally, I would be offended if I showed up at town meeting and it was the same old thing without without us having listened to what people are saying as to why they're not voting for it and responded to that. It's disingenuous and it shows that we are not listening to the town.
The town,
And
everybody in town.
if
read
the town
bylaw,
wanted it,
they
it would have
want it.
passed 4 years
They-
ago.
No, it wasn't.
Well,
How many
I
times do you know
agree
a
with you that-
politician, a statesman who ran for office and failed 2 or 3 times and then got elected? I mean,
right,
put it
well-
up here and you go for it. You gotta fight for it. If you don't want to fight for it, you want to let it go. you don't care, do it. But I won't, I don't want.
all
my-
right, well, the
Ridiculous.
fact that we're here at all shows that we're willing to fight for something. If not, we wouldn't be having this discussion. John wouldn't have spent months putting this together. We wouldn't have anything on the warrant if none of us cared. And frankly, it's kind of insulting for you to frame it that way.
We're talking around circles. Let's just vote for it.
Well,
Yeah, I'll move to take a vote.
You don't have to move to take a vote.
Oh.
There's 2 motions. The one
She
is
has to move? She's in Florida. Does she have to move?
Yeah. The one motion is to extend the no-touch zone to 35 feet. So we're going to vote on that now, okay? So if you vote aye, you vote to extend it to 35 feet. If you vote no, you vote to leave it the way it is. I'm going to start. I vote no. Carolyn,
no,
Robin, you're muted. You're muted.
Robin, wake up. No, I hear her. I hear you.
Okay, I said no.
Walter,
Yes.
Louise,
I'm gonna have to vote no.
Liz,
No.
and Steve.
No.
Motion fails to carry. There is a second motion, which after all this time, I'd like to sort of restate, which is to accept the edits that were just made recently to the bylaw to change the butter notification to 100 feet and to allow for a mediation clause as we discussed under the appeals section. There are also a couple of spelling errors. So that is now the motion stated. Is there a second?
second,
Second.
Third.
No. Okay. Any further
I had
discussion?
already seconded that.
Well, I third it, so there.
Any further discussion? Okay, again, a roll call vote. Aye means you accept these amendments. Nay means you don't. I vote first aye. Carolyn,
aye,
Robin,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Louise,
I,
Liz,
Aye.
and Steve.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Not even an IE. Hmm.
Steve, the heck,
I know.
All right, moving on. The issue with the conservation agent. I met with the finance committee last week to talk about creating a position of conservation agent. I drew up a 2-page list of conservation agent duties and presented it to them. They're a nice, very nice group. They're generally well receptive. Of course, there are concerns expressed about cost because, their
Mhm.
money is never flowing as well as we'd like. I think they want to digest it more. Mary Porter was kind enough to agree to sort of rework my duties to make them a little bit better structured, because I did it sort of within just a day, just for preparation for the meeting. So that's simply an update. So I'm just letting you know where that is.
Mhm.
Next up, Boundless Adventures. Shannon sent me sort of an updated RDA request to consider, sort of a draftish thing. What the site plan she included was from like 2018 or 19. So, and you know, she had just redlined that like she did before during the discussions. And I said that I told her, which I think was accurate, but I'm, you know, want your thoughts, that they really do need to actually have an updated stamped site plan. You know, even though it's an RDA, just to verify, you know, because it is so close to the wetlands. So that's what I told her, and then she still hasn't gotten back to me. Does that sound like a reasonable piece of feedback that I gave her?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. The site plan she's going on is just too far.
Right. We're gonna have to.
Yep.
We're gonna have to have an as-built, you know, or.
Which
and-
we've
and-
requested several times.
I know, but at the end, we're gonna need that. So why not get the right plans from the beginning?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next up on old business, just planning ahead for River Bridge. Supposed to snow again tomorrow.
Good.
You know, the meeting is on the 3rd, because we had that COC request. We decided to put it off, figuring that it's, you know, Massachusetts, the ground might clear up, but it looks like it's going to be like one of those winters we had like 5 years ago where it just snows a lot in February.
Excellent.
So just thinking ahead, you know, for the next meeting, whether we should just go based on the pictures or put it off longer, that begs the question of, you know, will we make him then, you know, get a OOC extension, which he didn't seem to be bothered by actually, but, or not. So, I mean, this is a decision for next meeting. I just wanted to put the thought in people's minds.
Went right on through.
Steve, go like this.
I know.
He's got those Bose things on that's supposed to
I
keep
know.
the stuff
Woo.
from blowing out your ears. All right. Next up, nothing under land acquisition today, land management. You know,
Wonder, on land acquisition, well, we probably should have where are we? If it doesn't require a closed meeting with regard to our Lyman Road property, as far as funding goes. We get the next 50,000 from Solomon Pond, then we have about what, 235,000 there. The Community Preservation Act, we won't know anything about that until after town meeting, what we can do with that. Then we got to know what we need to sell off for lots, and I wonder what we would try to get a reading maybe from SVT, or what we would get back in a way of reimbursement or a grant from the state if indeed we scratched up the front end money to have the thing go through.
well, we're going to have an executive session next meeting,
All right.
so we can talk about it then.
Okay. Just as long as it's on the list.
Yep. Thank you. Next up, land management, snowmobiles in the 40 Caves area. Dan had set out another email. You know, one of his volunteers had sort of traced out where the snowmobile entrances were.
Mine are ready.
Yeah, John, Peg has her hand raised, I think maybe about the last topic.
Okay,
Would you like me to allow her to talk?
please.
There you go, Peg. Oh, yeah.
You're up.
I just wanted to caution you on counting on any money from Solomon Pond. They have still not paid, and we have given them till the end of the month. We've sent a certified letter to them. So just kind of not wanting you to count on funds that truly may or may not be at hand.
Is
Do we
there
have any
leverage?
Go ahead,
Is there
John.
any, yeah. Is there any
Yeah.
leverage? Any leverage if they don't pay? What happens?
Just sue 'em.
Steve, I don't know. That was a question that I had posed to Margaret, is next steps, you know, what happens after that. So I think everyone is just kind of waiting until the 28th happens. I'm could probably bet with some sort of confidence, Margaret has already talked to town council, but until we know what's going to come back for a response, you really can't craft any type of response to them.
Right.
Else is Boundless. What did we get out of Boundless Adventures? Peanuts, I guess.
Nothing.
$10,000.
Huh?
$10,000.
Good grief. Steve, you were right.
Yep, I told you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peg.
You betcha.
Okay, so the snowmobile thingy. So Dan's volunteer had found out some entrances, emailed Walter and I, and I guess Liz. And Walter left a message with the environmental police so that they could get involved, because they're the ones that would be necessary to arrest the snowmobile operators. Apparently that the state has the ability to impound motorized vehicles that are trespassing on conservation land, either ATVs or snowmobiles. They have done so. That's what they do. They impound them. Anyway, so Walter would let the environmental police know. Walter, did you get a chance to put up that sign?
No, I didn't.
Will you?
We'll see. I think it's more important to get the warden to knock on doors first. Maybe when he's with me, I might take a walk out and do it.
Right. The reason I'm asking is that we had learned from the ATV stuff last fall that the environmental police are more likely to take action if the areas are posted.
Right.
If you remember.
Yeah, I can get that up.
Didn't we post something because of the ATVs?
We did. No motorized vehicles. There
Yeah.
was one other entrance that Dan Stimson found where there wasn't a post.
Yeah, it's like someone's backyard or something, right?
Right.
No, it's
Oh.
off a field. It's off the field off of Lancaster Road.
That's posted.
The one off the backyard is posted already. There was that other entrance that wasn't posted.
I know.
Right. Yeah, right now it's at least easy to track where people are coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the sign there is not. I think that the warden knocking on the door, particularly Lancaster Road, for example, and saying, "Look, here's the thing, and you can't do that anymore. We have a right to impound it." That's plenty of warning for that one leak there. And when I get to it, I'll go put the sign up. But we'll at least, I hope within a week I can get them out here to meet with the SVT representative and go around, look at a map or something and find out where they are so we can go around, knock on doors, and he'll do it.
All right. I don't have anything else on the agenda.
I have 2 items when
I have one.
Go ahead, Louise.
Okay, I noticed that both Peg and Margaret are attendees. So I want to bring up Earth Day because both of them put a lot of work into helping to organize it. Should we consider doing an Earth Day in April or wait till the fall?
Oh, I like April.
Yeah, I do
it's
too.
definitely easier in April.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if we eventually revert to once a year, the spring's better.
Mhm.
It's just easier to pick up stuff, find stuff. It's just not covered up by leaves and things.
Right, I totally agree. Okay, so last year we had a little support from some of the businesses in town. I guess, was it, the general store was giving out coffee to people. And we got some donuts from Berlin Farms. And Berlin Orchards we got donuts from Berlin Orchards, but Berlin Farms was willing to give people who took part in Earth Day in the fall free ice cream. So, I wondered about, contacting them again to do that.
You're running the show.
Doesn't hurt.
Sounds like a great idea.
Good.
Okay, all right, so Peg and Margaret can, we get together and draw up some plans for Earth Day.
Peg has her hand raised.
Do you just want to leave me on, Carolyn?
I did. I didn't even actually take away your ability to talk this time.
Yeah, no, Eloise, honest to God, Louise, that's fine. I can bring it up during our portion of the selectmen meeting on Monday where it's, new business, and toss that out there and find a meeting that you, Carolyn, John, somebody from conservation can just come and pitch the idea, and we can look at a day, and we'll help to push information throughout the town site, Facebook, Neighbors Connect, and Berlin Residents United, and things like that. So I will definitely bring that up for you on your behalf on Monday, and then circle back to you. Chris and Margaret are basically in charge of setting the agendas. So we'll find a night where it's not super duper busy, and we'll get you in with an appointment and then get you out.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Gotcha.
And just a PS to that, the official Earth Day is April 22nd. It's a Thursday. But just
And-
as a PS, sometimes we try to work around it before or after the 20th.
Right, we always make it the
April.
Saturday, on a Saturday. We've never done
Yeah.
it on
A
Right.
weekday.
a
Yeah,
weekday.
you don't want a Thursday, but it's the 22nd.
Right.
And are you going to be back from Florida then?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You're required to attend the site visit tomorrow. Yes, you are.
That'll just be a
Carolyn, you had a
frozen
couple of
body.
things.
I do. So first of all, John, I know you got the notification. I don't remember if you forwarded it or I saw it otherwise. But Conservation Commission now has an accepted open space plan, conservation and recreation. So yay, because we can't apply for any grants without that. So, and I know it was a long process, a long arduous process, at least for me.
Thank you.
So I'm glad
Thank
it's
you.
done. And we're good for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Tenure.
So I think it was Trish Settles from Central Mass Regional Planning said that someone's going to get into the office at some point and burn a couple of CDs with the plan in digital form and print a couple of copies for us. So, but
Who does CDs these days?
well, she said burn a
I'm
couple
thinking
of
the same
copies.
thing.
Right. She said burn a couple of copies. I'm assuming it's going to be on a CD, might be on a thumb drive, who knows. And we have been emailed the digital copy. So at some point we should probably make sure that is up on the website. Miss Peg, who would we get in touch with about that, making that happen?
To put stuff up on the web. Unfortunately, our webmaster is no longer here. Garth left in
Right.
December. So I think the whole point of the training that happened a month or so ago was to push it back to each committee to go to the training or watch the training that happened and update your own page.
Okay, and Margaret is also asking to talk. Margaret, you're good?
I'm good. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Margaret.
I'm using my Zoom mobile. So anyway, Yeah, Peg's absolutely right. But what I could do is, and I know that there's very limited time that folks have, but I'm happy to share the training video with you. And there's also kind of a guide to get on, make updates and to your webpage. So I'm happy to share that with you.
Perfect.
I've played around with it in the past when it first became, you know, when we first had the ability to do that. I assume uploading a document is fairly straightforward.
That's a good question because I'm not well versed on it myself.
Okay, all right, well,
I'll take a look at it with you.
all right.
Okay. All right. I'll
And-
share the user, the training manuals and the video with you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up, in relation to the bylaw, John, we need to hold a public hearing. And so we need to, I'm not really sure what the dates are of how much time before town meeting. I think it's at a minimum of 2 weeks that we have to have a public hearing. And I know that we want to have more than one forum, but as far as satisfying the legal requirement, we need to make sure that we schedule a public hearing.
When is the town meeting?
May 2nd or 3rd, I think.
Right, whatever the first Monday in May is.
It's scheduled for the 3rd, but again, with COVID,
Right.
Yeah.
that's all
Who
I got.
knows? Yeah.
With COVID, could be a Saturday, could be a Monday, could be a Monday and a Monday. We don't know yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Peg, do you know when the hearing has to happen for a warrant item?
I
Or
can
is
find
that-
out for you.
Okay. I think it's 2 weeks, no sooner than 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find out,
but-
and then all the requirements that you have to put it in the paper, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I'll get that back to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks,
That is
John.
all I
I didn't even
have.
know that was a thing.
Yeah. That's why you got me.
Oh, that's why.
You knew there had to be a reason, right, Steve?
Has to be something there.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
All right.
Oh, so I
entertain it.
make a motion to adjourn? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah,
Oh, second.
is there a second? Okay.
Third.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Bye.
Aye, aye,
Aye.
aye.